The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everybody. Glad you guys could join us. Today, we were talking about how to spot social media engineering and phishing. My name is Kevin Cerula. I'm joined here by Sandra. Hi, Sandra.
Hello. I just wanted to remind everybody, if you have a question, feel free, and you're on the web, obviously, feel free to raise your hand or post a question in the chat box, and I'll get that question over to Kevin.
Absolutely. So today, we're just going to go through, hopefully as quickly as possible, but we're going to go through social engineering and phishing. What is it? How can we spot it? And how to be a little bit safer out there on the internet. So we're going to go over how to spot an email or identify a phone call. Most people don't really think about that, but social engineering can go across many different types of media. So how to spot those things if it's an attempt to phish information. Learn about some ways that hackers can gain more information about you and your company, and then try how to become more proactive about keeping your digital profile safe. So just to start off, I try to start off with a question, but if you think about it, how many of you received an email or a phone call that made you think, I remember Arsenio Hall was back in the 90s. He always had this thing on his show, was things that make you go, So, if you're getting one of those emails that's asking you to log in, if you're getting a phone call that's, asking some weird information, so I believe I had somebody, I want to say a week or so ago, tell me that Microsoft called them and told them that their computer was, affected and they needed to get onto their computer. And that guy just said, is this really Microsoft calling me? So, if you get those things that make you say, I'm going to ask you to be paranoid. I've had this slide up there a number of times, but if I could write a book, I'm going to be basically just paranoid about cybersecurity because success breeds complacency, complacency breeds failure, and only the paranoid survive. So this is those people that say it's never happened to me, and they get a little bit more relaxed about things. Complacency breeds failure. So if you're one of those people that's the low-hanging fruit to those hackers that are out there, complacency breeds failure, and only the paranoid survive. So I really want everybody out there right now to say, I'm paranoid about cybersecurity. It's a mantra. Everybody's got to say it. I'm paranoid about cybersecurity. I want T-shirts. I'm paranoid about cybersecurity.
Paranoid, Kevin. I'm definitely paranoid.
Because,
I think there's a statistic out there that, most small businesses think that they're not susceptible to this because these hackers are after the larger companies. But the reality is that there's a lot of low-life hackers that are after small businesses and small business information, their money.
yeah, just as much as everybody else.
Mhm.
So if you're paranoid about these things, if you, always ask that question, why is this asking me to log in? Or why is this person asking me to wire money? Or, all these things. If you're paranoid and you take that extra step to confirm, you're going to be in a better place. So
Yeah.
let's talk about the different ways that you can be paranoid about cybersecurity. So we got spam. Everybody knows about spam. Spam's one of the easiest ways to get some information from somebody. Whether it's and this is just the basic phishing, PH phishing, to go out there. These are people just throwing the pole out there with some bait. They're sending this email to a bunch of people. They might be spoofing the address. They might be sending it through somebody else. They might have hacked somebody, and have a piece of software that's on their machine that's sending email from that person to you, so it looks like it's coming from a friend or a colleague or even somebody in your company, somebody else in their company. So these are things that are out there. It's huge. Everybody knows about this. The best way to defend against this is make sure you have a good spam protection in place. Other things about email, though, check the sender's address. Sometimes if you're reading too quickly, you think that's coming from PayPal, you think it's coming from FedEx or Disney or Sony or what have you. Check that sender address. Look at it a little bit closely, especially if it made you go, because a lot of times they're spoofing it with an extra letter or they misspelled something and just glazing over it really quickly. I mean, how many emails do you get a day, Sandra?
Oh, hundreds.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if you're getting that many emails, your eyes kind of glaze over and you're just looking at the information and you're like, all right, just give you that. All right, this person just needs this person just needs that. So you can do the little check boxes on the sheet that you have. I know your to-do list is like this, Sandra, every day. So you're looking for those check. Well, I gotta get through this. I gotta get through this, and you just kind of skim over that stuff. So make sure you're a little bit more paranoid about those things. Don't use the embedded link. If there's an embedded link in there that's asking you to click on something, don't use the embedded link. If it's Chase Manhattan Bank or TD Bank or Burger, I don't care what it is. If they're asking you to do something within the email and they want you to click there and you think it's a little weird, just go directly to the website. That way they're not able to spoof the URL, which is the link that's in there, to go to somewhere else. So it might say, click here to change your password. If you click there to change the password, it might be taking you to a bogus website and you're putting your information in there. So make sure you're going right to the source. This even goes for maybe some malware that might be on your machine. I mean, how many Java updates do you get, throughout a week? If you get a pop-up on your screen that tells you to update your web browser because your video, driver or your video thing is out of date, go directly to the source. Go right to Flash's website. Go right to Java's website. Don't use the embedded link. When in doubt, call to confirm. If something feels off about the email, call to confirm.
Yes.
We recently had an uptick in rule. This doesn't even have a name yet. I mean, rule spoofing. What would you call it, Sandra?
Well, it was in an email spoof, and it was a phishing email, and the hackers would set up a rule in Office 365 so that any emails that would make you go, would automatically go into your RSS feed folder, which nobody checks. I don't even know what it is. What's it there for? I don't know. I don't check it. So yeah, it's a new thing that they're doing now, so that you don't see those emails that make you go, did I send that? I don't know.
Yeah, and what they do is insert these rules there, and we had a client of a client that got something that inserted these rules in there, and it was redirecting all email from that person to the hacker itself before it went on to the end place. So he could read, or she could read, all of that email going through, and he just sat there and waited and waited and waited and waited until he found the right email. And it just happened to be wiring instructions, and it had the account information in there. So he took that email, changed the numbers for the wiring instructions, and let that go on to the final destination. And it just so happens that the guy called to confirm later on in the day and found out that the wiring instructions were incorrect. They had only 24 hours to make sure that this thing went through. So they ended up having to have their bank call Japan because they were behind the time zones to stop this amount of money going through. And I want to say it was like around $500,000 or something, like huge amount that would have been detrimental to this company. So, it's tough to track these things down, and these phishing things sometimes take, months to years to sometimes take fruition. I mean, who knows how long this guy had those rules in there, but, even your information sitting out there on the dark web, it could take years for somebody to buy that information and use it against you. So you might be saying, well, I haven't clicked on anything recently to have them do this. It might be just out there, and it just might have been that long for them to act on it.
Right. Kevin and I were talking about this. They'll go and fish for usernames and passwords. For instance, for Office 365, build a list and put it up for sale in the dark web. And it could be a couple of months before your information gets sold. So nothing, you may not even remember the incident where I did put my password in and it didn't take me anywhere. You may not even remember that because it was months ago, but that your info is on that list and it was probably sold. We just recently had this happen to one of our clients.
Yep. And this is an example of using the link that's in your email. So, this looks like the Facebook login page. But if you look closely, this web address has nothing to do with Facebook. So the hacker was able to take the actual picture of the website and have it redirect to his own, purposes. And then when you put in your email and password here, it might give you like a bogus, like we're down right now, or, whatever it is. So that's how you put your information in there and how you get spoofed. And I just talked a little bit ago. I mean, it's going even as far as for social engineering, phone calls. And the difference between phishing and spear phishing, we talked about that before. Phishing is one to many. Okay, and we talked about before about how it's one person to, like how many accounts got hacked at Target. It was like 70 million accounts. So that's one to many. I mean, they're phishing, they're sending out some tons and tons of emails, waiting for somebody to click on that email and have that information. But spear phishing is one to one or one to a couple. So they're specifically targeting people in the company that can act on this. So it might be an accountant, it might be an assistant accountant, it might have people in high places that have access to information that they want, and they're going to specifically target them. Make sure you're not giving your password out over the phone. Okay, a lot of times, even Parallel Edge will call you up. Oh yeah, I'm trying to help you with this ticket, da 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 da. We're the ones who called you. And one of the things that I want to make sure, if it's going to make you say, don't be afraid to tell Matt or anybody that's on the phone, hey, you know what? You called me. I'm going to call you back to give you that password because I want to make sure that it's actually you on the phone. And the reverse. I mean, Sandra, how many times people ask us for a password?
Right, exactly. So, don't be offended if we ask to call you back and give you that password or ask for permission from whoever our technical contact is at your company to give out that password. We're protecting you.
Absolutely. I mean, make sure anyone that is that's answering the phone, make sure you call them later and just verify that information. If somebody's asking for wiring instructions, call them. Make sure that you have that extra thing in place. I know it's a pain. I know it's an extra step. I know we all have a lot to do, but make sure to take that extra step and verify by phone with a physical person that you really want this information. You really want me to log into this website. You really sent me this thing from Dropbox. And also, lastly, make sure the frontline person that's answering the phone, make sure he or she is helpful, but not too helpful. So a big difference would be, oh yeah, so-and-so is not here right now. That person's on vacation. So that's a little bit extra information you really didn't need to give out over the phone. Make sure that that person's not available right now. Would you like his or her voicemail? So, you want to make sure that person's helpful, but not giving extra information out that they really don't want.
And likewise, they should be aware of people calling, asking questions like, who's your CFO? What bank do you use? Just questions that really should not be answered.
Yeah, absolutely. And that leads into my next one. I mean, LinkedIn is the new battleground. I mean, we've had an uptick, with this social engineering in the past couple of weeks. Past couple of weeks, it's been a huge surge, and they're using all LinkedIn information against you in spear phishing. Because I mean, what's the basic thing you can get on LinkedIn? Who works at your company? What their position is, how long they've been there, what college they went to, who their colleagues are, and who they deal with in business practices. So they might find vendors that you might work with, or the clients that you have, and they can interact with you on those instances by email or phone. So, if you don't need to provide information out there, if it's extra information they don't need, I mean, guaranteed, you need to put some, technicians out there or something or other. But maybe you don't want to put you're the controller, or that you're the accounts payable manager, because that's a little extra info that I can use against you in your own company. Have you had any examples of that, Sandra?
No, but you can tell, like, once people start spear phishing, they're definitely after you personally. So they're going to go to LinkedIn and figure out who your CFO is, like Kevin said, and they might, figure out what the CFO's email address is and spoof that email address and send you an email requesting you to wire money, things like that. They're very clever, these people, and they take their time. They'll wait. They'll sit back and wait until the time is right to try to get your money.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I want to say I know one client that I go to on a regular basis. This guy gets, I want to say, an email maybe every 2 weeks. And this is a company that already has Mimecast in place. And he might get an email at least once every 2 weeks that says it looks like it comes from the CEO, the president, the principal, whatever it is, saying, oh yeah, you know what, I'm in a meeting. Could you go ahead and wire this money to so-and-so?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
he knows now not to act on those, but originally he was like, what, really? So you
Yeah.
got to make sure, because that person is targeted right now, and people know the position that he's in. They know the person that can say yes, no to wiring instructions. There it is, and he
And
acts on
Kevin,
the wrong one.
you just mentioned Mimecast, and for that matter, any spam filtering service. Mimecast is great. Proofpoint is another service that we resell. It's fantastic. It is not going to catch everything, guaranteed. We all just received a phishing email from what looks like a former client asking us to sign into some Google Apps website. We all know it's bogus, but you need to know to be on the lookout for that.
Hmm. Absolutely. So that's the all around spear phishing, and then spoofing. We've talked about this before, but again, it looks like it's coming from somebody else in your company. It could have even the right domain. I mean, I remember just at the beginning, I want to say when we still had Proofpoint, or maybe it was even before Proofpoint, I would get emails from like Copier or Scans. I mean, how many
Right.
people have a Scans at email address? So it came from Scans at paralleledge.com, and I was thinking maybe Scandra scanned something and sent it to me, and luckily I didn't open it, but a lot of people have those types of things, or like I said before, it might have an extra letter, in the
Yeah, we just
domain.
saw that at a client this week, where there was an extra, and luckily the client caught it. Good job. There was an extra I in the domain, and it was their domain with an extra I in it that you might just glance past and not pick that up.
Yep. So definitely keep an eye out for it. So now that we know all these things are out there, like how do we protect ourselves? And it's fitting that this character's name anyway was Kevin. So, one of the things I went ahead and did this morning is I went on a computer that wasn't my laptop, and I Googled myself. Okay. And I went through there link by link by link, and I probably went 4 or 5 pages in. I was finding some stuff that even surprised me. I mean, I found my home address when I was a little boy, and it had my full address in there. It had phone numbers. It had places. Even when I lived out in Indiana, it had my addresses out there at apartments. It had my Facebook info. It had a link to my LinkedIn. It had links to Twitter. I mean, all in those places. Even had links to articles that I wrote to a company that I worked back in 2000. I mean, it's crazy. And this digital footprint never goes away. It never goes away. And it's not only for you, but I used to do seminars when I worked at a school. I used to do seminars for the parents because it was all about stranger danger. So not only track yourself, but track your family. What is your son or daughter, your sister, what are they putting out there about you? What can they glean from those websites about you and your family, and how it could be used against you? I mean, you might get an email from a Gmail address that looks like it comes from your son or daughter asking for information.
Right. There's a statistic I was reading. Right now, kids are the biggest targets for identity theft. So definitely talk to your children as well about what they're doing on the internet, what information they're putting out there.
Absolutely. I mean, when I did those seminars, I picked a girl at random. I found out that where she went to school. I was able to find, and this was just in an effort to scare the parents that were there. I want to say this is back, like 2003. And Stranger Danger on the internet was just coming out. I was able to find out what team she played for, what her practice schedule was, all of those things about what her friends did, and all that type of stuff. And it was when Facebook, and actually it was back when MySpace was big. You remember MySpace? Gosh, I'm
Yeah,
dating myself, I guess, at this point. Is MySpace still around?
I think it is. I
Okay.
think I just read something about that. I don't think it's very big anymore, though.
Okay. But that was back when MySpace was big, and it was just in an effort to really show parents, like, this is the type of things that are out there in your digital footprint. Um, and then go back through those websites and see if there's any way to take that information down. If you're looking at it through the third party's eyes, is there information on LinkedIn or Facebook you really don't want out there? Is there a way to lock it down and make it private to only your friends and not to public space? Try to go back and see if you can lock down your Twitter account and those types of things. I don't know, Sandra, you have a Twitter account. I'm not much of a Twitterer. Is that a
No,
word?
No, I use it to torture vendors. That's about it.
But yeah, I don't tweet very much, and I just don't understand the whole at or hashtag or those types of things. But again, all those different places, they can pretty much create this digital profile of you and use it against you. So when you go through these things, ask yourself, excuse me, some questions. Do I really want this information out there? If you're handling money, don't put it on LinkedIn because you're just asking for trouble at that point. You're
Mhm.
asking to be spearphished. You're asking for people to call you on the phone because they know you're a person in charge of something that they really want, which is cash. So it
Mhm.
could be, in many, many different forms to get you to do it, to log in somewhere to garner information, what have you.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um,
Speaking of
yeah,
LinkedIn, let me just mention this. And I just received one yesterday. Be careful who is reaching out to you and wants to link you. Make sure that it's somebody that you know. I had somebody try to link me. Sounded like it was a legit business, but when I went to look at this person, I realized they were in Barcelona, Spain. I have no reason to do business with them. It was probably somebody trying to fish me. So be careful who you're linking.
we're not taking Parallel Edge to South America.
No, no, we're not. No, we're Spain now.
So yeah, I mean, definitely look out for that type of stuff. I mean, places, things from other countries, what have you, from South America, from Europe, what have you, and look out for that. Am I giving out information? Stranger danger is definitely still a thing. So make sure look both ways before crossing a website, and don't want to put in that information if you don't have to. Spam filtering, we've touched on this before. I mean, we usually use Mimecast or Proofpoint. But as Sandra said, it's not always 100%.
No.
It's on the rise. I mean, it was on the rise 6 months ago. It's still on the rise. Um,
Mhm.
so, scans, internal attachments from colleagues, make sure to reach out to that person directly on the phone if you can. Track them down and say, did you really send me this? Or emails from clients asking you to log in somewhere. So a lot of things that we've been seeing recently is, you have to download this thing. So you have to log into Dropbox or Office 365. We've had that. I want to say even within the last couple of days, we had that one.
I saw one where I think the email message was, here's the documents that you requested, or I need you to review this document, something like that. And it took you to, and I wish I'd had a screenshot of it. I was saying it to Kevin, but it took you to a site that was definitely bogus if you look at the address in the web address bar, but it let you select whether you wanted to sign in with Office 365 or Google Docs or a Dropbox account. So they're just out there fishing, trying to get whatever information you want to put out there.
Yep. And they will literally copy everything they can to make everything look legit. The email, the logos, the backgrounds of the website. I mean, everything. And it looks
Very,
100% legit.
yeah, definitely does.
Social engineering, the definition of social engineering, it's the use of deception to manipulate individuals into divulging confidential or personal information that may be used for fraudulent purposes. So basically, I can call you or I can email you to get a single piece of information and then another piece of information and then another piece of information. And this is how hackers use simple social engineering to get against you. So this is just a plug. I saw this video. I want to say at least 6 months to a year ago, and
Oh,
it scared me
yeah.
straight. So if you
Mhm.
Google this specific this sentence here, this is how hackers hack you using simple social engineering, and I'll just show you right now what comes up. This is the picture that comes up. So if you want to watch this, this will scare you straight because this woman takes this guy's information, calls up a specific place, and her directive is only to get this guy's email address. Just knowing his name, all she wants is his email address. Not only does she get that, but she also gets his account information and resets the information on the account so she can make changes to the account. And this girl doesn't know this guy from Adam. and she gets all this information. So definitely look at that one. That will definitely scare you straight, just on the social engineering aspects of the phone.
Yeah.
It's scary.
It is scary. I saw Kevin Mitnick do some live hack. He was a hacker from the 90s. He went to jail for, I think it was wire fraud in the 90s, but he was doing some, and now he's, a good hacker. He was doing a live hacking on stage, and it scared the crap out of me. I went up to him afterwards and I thanked him for scaring me. I went home, I changed all my passwords. I mean, he got a woman up on stage, asked her 2 or 3 questions: your name, where do you live, and it might have been a third one. I'm not even sure if it was. Within a minute, he had all her information pulled up, and he was showing all of us, including her social security number, her address, her past address, her husband's name, her kids' names. It was insane. And all he does is he uses some tool that he's found on the dark web, which Kevin and I have talked about in the past. He buys the tool, and now he can access this information at will. What was interesting was that he first had a woman up there who he was asking for volunteers. She came up on stage. She was from Canada. He turned her away because he said, I can't get this information because Canada has laws in place that will protect you. Likewise, in Europe, there are laws in place that will protect you. Here in the United States, all our information is out there, and it's easily attainable by somebody if they want to come after you.
It's also crazy how our industry, like shuns somebody so much and then invites them in just another respect.
Yeah, yes, it is.
You can break the law and then make 6 figures. I mean, what a country.
Well, that's what he does now. He does, he hacks into companies and then shows them where to, of course they hire him, but then he shows them where the holes are, and it's valuable. Mm-hmm. It's very valuable. Mm-hmm.
It's a great way to sell yourself. I can hack your company. So make sure you're checking the email. I mean, most of the email that is spam, a lot of them are trying to rush you into action. I need this by tomorrow. I need this right away. I need this now. Your account's been hacked. You need to log in here right away. So a lot of them are rushing you into action because, again, all of us are busy and all of us are trying to do those little check boxes. So you just want to do this and get it out of the way. A lot of times there's the email was not expected. So you might be working with somebody and then all of a sudden get an email with an attachment from them, and you weren't expecting something with an attachment. And a lot of times that's the bogus part of it. A lot of times they'll have the attachment or link in the email. So they want you to, the call to action is to get you to click on something or to open the attachment itself. A great many times they'll use a lot of pictures to misdirect you. So they'll take the actual logos from Chase Bank or whatever it is, and they'll put it in the email to make the email look more legit. Mm-hmm. Truckloads of times they have bad grammar. It's emails coming from overseas. English may not be their first language. So to us, it looks like bad grammar. So that's another one that tips you off. So just some screenshots of emails that we've gotten from clients that this is what the emails look like. So it'll say like, hi there, Bob Phillyfoo has invited you to view the file this thing .doc on Dropbox. Click here to view the file. So, it might be from somebody It's a document, so it doesn't look nefarious. And it's asking you to click on something as a call to action. So all 3 of these things should be warning signs. Here's another one that we've gotten. Microsoft Office 365 email. You're running short on space. Dear so-and-so, you're out of space. You'll soon be unable to send or receive emails. I need to fix this now. I can't not have my emails. So you need to click here to enable more storage space. And you could see clicking on this, enable more storage. How much easier would that be, Sandra? Just click here to add more storage.
That would be great.
So
then, of course, the address, and you
Yep.
clearly said this is not going to Office 365.
So this is go ahead.
was going to say, if you ever get an email like this where it's asking you to sign into Office 365, if you're unsure, just go, don't click the link, obviously, but go online, sign into your Office 365, go back to the message and click on the link. If it takes you to a new sign-in page, close that page. It's a bogus email.
That's a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
This wasn't the specific email. I'm still trying to find the original one, but this is a good example of the other thing that we've seen where it looks exactly like the login page for Office 365 and it's asking you to go somewhere, but you can see in the link there that is an incorrect login URL. So it's asking you. Now, it looks like the old Office 365 page. I'm not going to say that the new one hasn't been copied already. I'm sure it has the day after. But
Yeah.
make sure to ask yourself, is this, be paranoid again. Make sure you're paranoid. Is this the right thing? If your password is one of these things, either your computer login or your VPN login or your Office 365 login, please give us a call. Because we really need to change this. And one of them, somebody asked this about yesterday. One of them is the ABCD1234 $. And I put that in there specifically because there are sometimes we give out these weak passwords, 12345, pass 1234. We give out these weak passwords just to get you over the hump to get into your account. Make sure you go back and change it to something else. We don't really have the time to go in there and fix it to something that's, we just are trying to get you into your account. So make sure, go back, change the password, on your own to something that's a little bit more complex. And make sure to vary your passwords across different platforms, because what will happen is if they get one password someplace, a lot of people use the same password for many different types of logins. So they'll use the same password across their banking website to log into Office 365, yada. And I hear people telling me, oh, I hope nobody gets that password. Then change it, even if it's
Right.
one or two characters, and make
Yeah,
sure
that's
you're changing them often. One
yep.
of the things that we did, was it this past August, Sandra, that we did identity theft, and it was they used a tool to get their passwords from the dark web. What was that called again? That uh,
Can't think
ID
of it.
ID theft, ID agent.
ID agent.
So
Yeah.
the password gets out there, it gets out on the dark web, and now it's out there for people to buy. Well, we said earlier, sometimes it takes 3, 6 months, a year for somebody to buy those passwords. If you're changing your password every 6 months, there's no reason to worry about something like that, because you're changing your password before they're able to get in and use that information against you. So make sure you're a little bit more proactive about changing those passwords often.
Yeah, I know it's a pain, and I'm guilty of not doing this as well, but we really should all be doing this. We really need to.
Absolutely. I want to make sure to slow down. Did anybody have any questions yet? I want to make sure nobody raised their hand or anything like that.
Don't see any questions so far. No?
All right. Well, the call to action this week, I want to make sure everybody is being paranoid about cybersecurity. It's a good thing to be paranoid about cybersecurity, not Social Security.
Well, don't give that number out either.
This is true. Be paranoid about your Social Security number and don't give it out about cybersecurity. But be paranoid. I mean, every single thing that somebody's asking you to act, be paranoid about it. And it's not a bad thing to be paranoid. So, go ahead and say every day, like, I'm paranoid about cybersecurity. But I want to thank everybody to join us. I know we try to touch on simple subjects throughout the different webinars that we have. If you've missed a webinar, we have a YouTube site that we put all of our webinars on. Stay tuned to the newsletter and our website for future webinars. Another thing that I want this week is send me examples or stories of threats that you've seen or heard about. And if you do that, we have a white paper for you that we can send you that's going to help you. So it's going to be titled Top 10 Ways That Hackers Get Around Your Firewall and Antivirus to Rob You Blind. So send me an example, attach the example. Just tell me a story about an example of you, your friends, what have you, because I'd like to use that in future webinars.
Yeah, that download is available in the handouts if anybody wants to read that white paper. You can just click it and download it. You don't need to put in a password.
And another one that I'd like to put out there, and I just recently just caught on to this guy. His name is James Veach. And if you haven't heard about him, funny comedian. And he does these TED Talks. And his whole thing is that he replies to the spam messages. So we've all gotten that message that says, I'm the king of Ethiopia and I'm trying to migrate my way to America, and I need to move my money, and I need you to give me a certain amount of money so that I can move all this money into your account. You're going to make oodles of money if you do this. So he replies to these spam messages, and it is hilarious. So if you want to look this guy up, his name is James Veach. Here's an example of the website. So just Google James Veach TED Talks, and it is hilariously funny to watch this guy. So go ahead and do that, and just find out exactly what happens when you do reply to these guys, because it's funny.
One other thing I wanted to mention is that Kevin, if you want Kevin to come out to your site and do a presentation about cybersecurity and what to look out for your employees, just give me a call and we'll set it up. It's been very helpful for some of our clients. Jerry, I know you're out there, and I know you're very good at catching these emails now. So just give me a call and we'll get something set up.
Yeah, and the good way to say that it's why a seminar is much better than the webinars is because I take the seminars into a lot more depth. So even the cybersecurity webinar that I do doesn't touch on, I want to say, half of the information that I go through in a seminar, just because of time, also because I'm able to tailor it to you, your industry, what your company does, and all that type of stuff. And it's nice to get that positive feedback, direct feedback from people asking questions. This happened to me, or I got this. I just did one yesterday. So if we made it really easy, we made flat fees for them now, so it's really easy to sign up for these things. So please reach out to us, get those seminars, and we could do this. Sandra, how often do you think people should do this?
I would do it at least once a year, because things change and these phishing scams change all the time. We see something new, I would say at least once a month. So, do it at least once a year, more often if you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Sandra, did I touch on anything or did I not touch on anything that you think we should talk about before we leave today?
I think you've covered everything that we discussed earlier, so I think we're good.
All right, fantastic. Well, everybody have a happy Wednesday, and I hope you have a great following week. And let's see, next month, we haven't come up with a topic for next month, have we?
No, we have not. But actually, Joan has a question, I believe, so I can unmute Joan and let her speak. Joan, you're unmuted.
Hi.
Hi, Joan.
I thought it might make sense. I just found the little button here to push to raise my hand. Maybe we could talk a little bit on what we could do that would make it look less like we're sending out spam to people. Like I've taken, I always make sure all my emails have a full signature on it, including a phone number and an address and all that. Well, I don't know about the address. Yeah, phone number and address and everything, so people know who I am. And I get a lot of emails that have nothing at the bottom from actual people trying to talk to me. And then also when you're sending out something asking for someone to send a link, put some words around it.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I get things from city agencies and other thing, or, here's your bid thing, or it's ridiculous. So I think if there are things that we could do to help protect people that we're talking to. Yeah,
definitely. And if you're sending along those lines, if you're going to send somebody a document and they may not have been expecting it, give them a call and let them know. I mean, pick up the phone. It's so easy. I think people a lot of times, everybody kind of falls back on email for all communications, and picking up the phone is such an easy thing to do. It can prevent you. It can prevent you from losing thousands of dollars, as we've seen at some of our clients, where they took the time and picked up the phone and called the person that was asking them for a wire or whatever, and found out that they were being phished. Thank you, Joan. That was a good question.
Sandra, are there specific things? I know we send out bulk email. What specific things do you do to, is it, because I know even on the ISP or the email end, they don't want you sending like 1,000 emails at a clip. So what are some of the ways or things that you use to send out that bulk email?
So if you are going to send out bulk emails, you want to make sure that you're using a service that parses the emails so that they don't all get sent in one big, gigantic, 1,000 emails at a time. And these services will parse the emails to where it's 25 emails at a time. And that a lot of times will pass the spam filters. If a spam filter sees you sending out 1,000 emails all at once, they're going to think something's up. Clearly, our client who sent us that spam does not have any kind of spam filtering, because it looks like he sent that email which was a phishing email, and probably not from him. He probably sent it to every contact on his email list. So you want to make sure that you're doing that. You're using a service. There's several of them out there. A lot of times, if you're using a CRM, there's a service already built in that does that for you.
Great. That's good info. Any other questions you have out there? Let me see.
I don't see any other questions. I think that was it. It was great, everybody. Thank you for joining us. It's always fun to talk about this stuff, right, Kev?
Absolutely. I can't wait for next month. All right, so have a fantastic week, everybody, and enjoy, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, Kevin.
Bye-bye.